Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2025 Mazda CX-5. This is the Turbo Premium. It's finished off in a deep crystal blue mica, and the MSRP starts just over $38,000. Now this is powered by the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo. It's paired to a 6-speed automatic. It pumps out 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the all-wheel drive system, propelling this 3,800-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. It has a top speed of 129 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 15.3 gallons, and you'll expect to see it 22 miles per gallon in the city and 27 out on the highway. Now this has a wheelbase of 106.2 inches. Its overall length is 180.1. It has a width of 72.6, a height of 66.3, and its ground clearance measures in at 7.9 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling, this definitely has a very subtle design to it, but with this blue paired with all the gloss black, it also has some great contrast to it. Now up front, you'll notice the massive Mazda badge, which is also the sensor for distance pacing. There's a forward-facing camera, plenty of cutouts in that grille too to provide additional cooling, along with the cutout in the lower section. Now there's also parking sensors too, and then LEDs for all of the lighting. You'll notice they have a sunken design to them, so there's some of the bodywork that sticks out just to give it a nice integrated look. And then there's also some more gloss black accents for that lower section of the bumper, and then a few lines coming down the hood to give it a great look. Now as we work our way to the side, you'll notice there's more gloss black for the wheels. It's even on the fender arches too. So it goes from that lower section up front, around the fender arches, and it's in the lower side skirt. Now it's also on the mirror caps where there's a turn signal and a camera too. And then you'll notice there's some chrome trim accents for the lower window trim. Now this also has a sunroof up top, and then some very nice subtle lines flowing down the side. And hopefully you can tell in this lighting, this blue has a really nice crystal effect to it. So it gives it a great look. Now up top, there's also the body colored spoiler with a third brake light. Wiper blade is in the lower section. There's also LEDs for the lighting, backup camera, all the parking sensors, and then the dual exhaust. Now from what I've read, the CX-5 can tow around 2,000 pounds. It's probably better for a bike rack or something like that, but you can at least put a hitch on this if you need to do that. Now as we work our way to the cargo space, you can use the button on the key fob or the control underneath to open up the power liftgate. Now once in back for this smaller SUV, there's actually a pretty good amount of space. Now I can also lift up the floor where there is a spare tire, and you do have some compartments. You could place some small items if needed. Now as you can tell, this cover is currently installed, so you can use that as well. And then you'll notice on both sides, you can actually fold down the back seats. So on this left side, you can fold the middle seat down individually, and then you have the additional controls for the left seat and the right seat. So you can get a lot of storage in the back of this SUV, just depending on how you are going to use it. And then up top, there's one control to close the liftgate. Now there's no proximity door handles in the back, so you would have to unlock it from the front door handles or from the key fob. Now this has a really nice interior. You'll notice there's two different colors for the stitching there. A little bit of storage down below. This is also equipped with the Bose audio. And then CX-5 is also an illuminating badge on the door sill, and then there's a really nice design for these seats. And then to fold them down from the back seats, just grab this lever by the headrest there, and you can fold these pretty much flat. You can also get the seatbelt out of the way if you need to, but it's definitely going to give you a lot of interior space, and as you can tell, it actually picked up that middle seat there. Now at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. There's vents in the middle, you have storage pockets on both sides. And then at my height, I have maybe 2 inches or so of headroom. So it's actually pretty spacious for this smaller size. Now you would have to move this seat up just a little bit more, but just depending on who is in the vehicle, you can easily make this work. And then right in the middle, you'll notice there's cup holders. You get a little bit of storage with some auxiliaries in the backside of this armrest. And these are even heated seats. Very interesting to see the placement of those. So you do have to have this down in order to operate those. Very interesting to see that. But then you also have those small cargo windows right here, so that way you can see better around that pillar. Now as we work our way up front, you'll notice a lot of storage in the lower section. There's all the window controls, side mirror adjustments too, and then some nice trim accents in the upper section. Same illuminating badge down below. And then the driver's seat is power operating. There's memory seating adjustments too with the rest of those controls, and a great design for these seats. Now this is a low SUV, so it's very easy to enter and exit. where we're greeted with a leather steering wheel that has red stitching throughout it. And then with my foot on the brake, we can just push on the start button and bring this to life, where we can move on to the gauge cluster now, where on the left side, you'll notice the tach. On the right side, there's also your fuel, engine temperature, and then your speedometer and what gear you're in are right in the center. Now, to go through a little bit of information in the gauge cluster, you have an info button on the left side of the steering wheel. So if I just push on that, you can toggle between all of this information. So you have a few things that you can monitor, and that is about it, just by pushing on that control. Now you'll also notice there's volume, tuning, there's some Bluetooth controls, and then on the right side you have cruise control along with lane keeping assist. Now this also has paddle shifters on both sides, so you can use those as needed. And then on the left side, there's the hood and fuel cap release. There's also the liftgate release. There's the lane keeping assist, parking sensors, and you can push on the view button. So this is how you can bring up the camera system, and you can push on that a few different times depending on the angle that you would like to see. And this is all with the vehicle in park at the moment. So we'll come back to the rest of that camera system here soon. This also has a head-up display, so it's currently showing miles per hour. And then with the infotainment system, currently I have my phone paired to this system. And then in order to get back into the normal Mazda system, you can just push on the Mazda icon there or hold on the home button down below for a second or two. And now we can go through this information where you just have some info here that you can monitor. You can get into entertainment, so all of your audio adjustments. You can look at your phone when you have that paired, navigation, and a few settings you can go through just to configure this as needed. Now again, what's interesting is that this is not a touchscreen system, so you do have to use the controls down below. And then if you want to go into your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you go up or down depending on what kind of phone you have, or you can just hold that home button again down below, where now we have the touchscreen system. So you can go through this, you can quickly get back into this here, and then just pump down on that dial. So you can go between both of them, and then you have touchscreen and non-touchscreen. Again, would be nice if everything was symmetrical or the same there. Now you have air vents underneath that, along with the heated steering wheel, and then this also gets heated and ventilated seats. So you have heated up top, ventilated at the bottom. There's temperature adjustments, your fan speed, where you'd like the air to go, and the rest of those adjustments. Now this also has wireless charging along with an auxiliary down below. And then to put this into reverse, we'll just pull this back, where you'll notice that there's a few different angles. Now again, it's not a touch screen to be able to quickly do that. You have to reach over to the left side and push that view button that I showed earlier to toggle between both of those angles. And then same thing when we put it into drive. You get 3 different angles there, where you have to use that view button to go through these 3. Again, would be nice to see it being touchscreen for some simple features like that. You can also put this into the manual mode and shift with the shifter or with the paddles. Now there's also a few different driving modes that will pop up front and center: off-road, normal, and sport. So you can use those as needed. There's auto hold with the e-brake, and then all of those adjustments, including volume for your audio. There's 2 cup holders, and then you have this removable tray along with auxiliaries and a little bit of storage. There's also the glove box, which has a good bit of space. And then you get garage door buttons up top. There's also a sunglass holder, and then there's lights behind that and controls for the sunroof. So you can use that as needed. And then here's a look at visibility, where it's pretty easy to see over the right side. And then same with the left. You have a lot of glass to be able to view that way as well. As we set up behind the wheel now for the Mazda CX-5, this is definitely a really nice compact SUV for its pricing. Now there's several different options that you can go with. This starts right around $28,000 in general. So just depending on the features that you would like and some of the different options. But driving this for a day or two, it's been really nice. It's super comfortable. It's easy to drive around the city, very easy to park as well. So if you're looking for a small vehicle that is still going to offer you a good bit of interior space, it's definitely a great option to go with. And it's pretty simplistic in the options that it does have. And I don't mean that in a bad way. If you're not looking for a vehicle that has 800 different ways to set up something, this is perfect. You have all of your controls laid out well for all the features that you need and nothing more. The only drawback I will say is that the infotainment system is touchscreen when it wants to be and not touchscreen in other aspects. I wish it was all the same across the board. That is my only complaint with the system. But you can pair your phone, and really just having your phone paired to it, going through everything there, is pretty much all you need, unless you need to go into a setting and set something up. But it's pretty much set it up, you're good to go from there. And as far as it's driving now, it's super comfortable and quiet. So for the price, I think it's a really good option. And we have the turbo. So let's pop it into the manual setting, and from second gear, here we go. So this is pedal to the floor. As we get up to speed, it's pretty good. It's enough to get up and move, to merge into traffic, things like that. It's not crazy fast, but with the turbo here, we have a good bit of pickup to it to get up and move. And you do have the paddle shifters, which are pretty responsive. Probably not something you're going to be using often, but you can use them if you need to downshift for whatever reason, just to get up to speed maybe a little bit quicker. So the paddles are pretty responsive in sport mode there, and it will give you a little bit more throttle response than the normal mode. And then you do have the off-roading mode, which I assume would just help the all-wheel drive system with some better traction, maybe if it's some gravel, some loose, gravel, some wet grass or something like that, you have that option to go into. Seats are also very comfortable as well. And at 5'10", I have maybe 2.5 inches of headroom, and the seat does lower just a little bit more. So you could be slightly taller than me and fit in this vehicle, which again is nice for its smaller size. And so we're in sport mode, second gear, here we go. And with a light acceleration, we are up to speed. Paddles are pretty responsive, so you can use those as needed. And this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the CX-5. Now, this is not a backroads type of vehicle like what I am on right now in terms of higher speed situations, things like that. But for these roads here, this handles very well. It's a compact SUV, so it's a little lower than a standard SUV, lower center of gravity too. So it'll be able to take roads like this well. Not that you're going around these corners quickly, but if you're taking a trip and you're on some back roads, this seems to handle very nicely for these types of situations. But it's a very nice vehicle to drive. I like for the pricing, you have a lot of the standard features that you would like to see. So if you don't want to necessarily spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for a vehicle, you have pretty much all of the basics that you need in this model here. And again, just depending on what you would like to spend for this particular model, you have several options to go with. And I will say, it's been nice to drive. We have some very nice materials on the armrest here, super comfortable driving position for your driver, and just a nice place to be. So if you want a brand new vehicle, you don't want to break the bank, it's still going to be an expensive vehicle. This is going to be a great brand new vehicle to go with. But that is going to wrap it up for the new Mazda CX-5 Turbo Premium. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.